The second I'm going to read, actually, it's one of a recent trip that I took with Agneta Folk. We were invited to China reciprocally at the 2009 San Francisco International Poetry Festival, which I organized. I invited Jia Youngming to come. I hadn't realized till we went to China that Jia Youngming is considered one of the most renowned women poets in all of China. And she invited us back to meet the Chinese poets. And we did meet them, and some of this will describe it in this arcane. The arcane is called the Women Arcane, W-O-M-E-N. The reason why I chose that, there's certainly men involved in this arcane too, but the reason I chose it is because the word women in Chinese means we, W-E. Okay. So here's this one. 1. We're writing to song. We're writing to So Wang. We who are also us and go by the sounds of women. A cicada decaphonic swarm of twitters overhead in Anren, outside the Chen Yue Sheng mansion, where delicate Xiang Yan has her young women workers prepare breakfast in the open air and introduces us to one of the area's sculptors whose work we will later see in the Field of Heroes, where hundreds of statues of the heroes of the Communist Revolution are standing in a field, no one lying down, each about 7 feet tall, including Mao, standing in different gestures of stance, filling the field with ordinary workers and peasants as a place of remembered glory. In Anren, we also meet Chen Xing, Dear Erica, and Pan Lu, who read my and Aggie's poems in translations they've made, after Aggie reads hers in English and I mine in American. And always with us is Jami Prokta Siu, the amazing poet and translator from Tucson, Arizona, who's considered, in fact, a Chinese poet by the Chinese, though she simply married a Shuangzi Su. But so deeply is she immersed in the language as poet and translator both, she makes our days and nights there a lovely rapture, as did Shuangzi and their 8-year-old son Dylan, whom she calls Dude. Imagine listening to Edith Piaf in an outdoor crêperie in Beijing. Imagine the Temple of Heaven and an army of 30-storied skyscrapers for as far as you can see, where workers and teachers and techno-experts live amid 19 million other Beijingers and 6 million cars of all shapes flying around. It may sound hard, but it feels like it feels after a revolution has taken place. It feels like us, like we. It feels like women, with and through us. And when we are with Wang Jianxin, a translator into Chinese of Paul Celan, and toast lifting Baizhu to life, poetry, and yes, revolution, with Duo and the other poets of Beijing and Chengdu, beautiful Jia Yongming's White Nights, named after Dostoevsky's book, Bar, funky reading space and gallery, Jai, who's made it all possible, who's one of the land's most renowned women poets, who reciprocated my gesture in 2009 of inviting her to read in San Francisco by inviting Aggie and I to meet and read with the poets in Anren, Chengdu, and Beijing. And when little Nan climbed the steps to the Great Wall, he arrived at the one he sat down upon, exhausted, and 1,000 miles ran out of his feet. He looked through a turret on the wall and saw a village in the distance below. He looked through a turret in the opposite direction, and Mao Zedong was written like a rapids down the mountainside. And when I realized that it could go on forever, what, dude? China.